Yo, 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 we are live, we are live, we are live. Today, we are going to be doing some 3D logo animation. Can I adjust this mic? Thank you. I'm going to be comping up a 3D logo reveal that I did earlier. We're going to be putting it into After Effects, doing a little sauce on After Effects, and then we're going to be breaking down what I did in Cinema to get this this render so saucy. So let's go and jump into After Effects. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and import file. That's me right clicking right there just to pull that up, and then I'm gonna import our sequence. Obviously, if we had the sequence checked, it pulls in everything, all those frames there. What we're gonna want to do is go to interpret footage, switch it to your frame rate. If it's not 30, switch it. It autos to 30. Let's drag it into this comp here. Boom, we got our comp all set up with the right dimensions. Now let's go ahead and play this animation that I got here. As you can see, it's sort of like a Disney Channel-esque, I guess, animation where we got, you know, I guess, and you're watching motion directive, but it's the motion directive logo, and essentially we got this reveal happening with this first ball. It's bringing on these sparkles, and then we have the reveal of the full logo. What I want to do first to this in After Effects is just add a nice little dissolve out for the ending. I'm going to pull up a dissolve effect called sand, and we're just going to bring on the animation and bring off the animation with this subtle effects. It's not doing much, but it is doing an interesting amount. So the next effect that I want to do is a hue and saturation effect. We drag it on our effect stack right here on the left. What we're going to want to do is start here, press a stopwatch keyframe at the beginning, and then at the end, we're just going to do a full rotation. So we're going to do a full 1. And what this is going to do is it's going to animate our color on the hue wheel. Now I'm actually really liking how this is turning out right now. I do think we can brighten this up a little bit more, so I'm just gonna go ahead and mess around with a little bit of the color. Alrighty, so we added a little bit of lift in that exposure and in the highlights. I'm gonna mess around with the glow effect. I don't know if this is necessarily gonna make it look better, but let's see. Honestly, I do think it helps a little bit, but here we have some spillage that I don't quite like. So let's increase this but decrease the intensity. So we just get a bit of help, but yeah, not too much. That's just a bit of a help on the glow. We just get a little bit more of it because everything's so dark in the background. And what I also want to do is just lift up these shadows a bit. Let's see what we got here. Now obviously it's caching a little bit, so let's let it go through once. Alrighty, so I'm actually really liking how sparkly and magical it actually is looking after comping this. I haven't saved this file yet, so let me go ahead and do that. I almost feel like the hue and saturation shouldn't go for the entire thing. It should like resolve once it completes its course. I like that a little bit better, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and great. We're not responding. Wonderful, that's what we're doing? We're not responding. Okay, wonderful. This has been happening so much. Suspicious. I think Adobe's conspiring against me. Like, it's honestly, it's to the point where I'm not even surprised when Adobe just absolutely poops on itself, to the point where I'm glad that y'all get to see this part of the process. I don't know, like, why this stuff happens, I don't know. I do like the fact that I saved the project, but also the fact that it's sort of party mode and then it resolves. Let's drag this out a little bit. Yeah, about 2 seconds kind of. I wonder if we can have it like here. Boom. This is the pacing that I'm liking now. I just don't know if it should end on green or golden. Bro, what if the green isn't the move? What if it's golden? Okay, so if we do the golden plus, I think that actually works a little bit better. Oh no! Wait, hold up! Wait, this is actually way better ending on golden. I'm not gonna lie. And this subtle little push in on the scale is definitely helping. I'm gonna make it even more obvious. Okay. And you're watching Motion Directive, Disney Channel in the house. We bringing it back, but it's grungy and sparkly at the same time. I don't know. We made the Disney Channel in a dark abyss. Come on now, son. You're watching Disney Channel. Come on now, son. This is fire. Yes, sir. I'm actually really satisfied with how this came out. It's a very simple stack. It's very simple effects, and it's built inside of Cinema 4D and Redshift, and I'm gonna break it down right now. It's a super easy stack. All right, now that we're in Cinema 4D, we're gonna take a look at this camera. All right, obviously you can see it's a pretty frontal shot. We have nothing but an HDRI going on here because we're mainly being driven by this emissive redshift texture. The camera actually has a background color, just like an off black, because I really wanted the background to be pretty simple for this. It's more focused on the logo and its contrast. So to make those contrast whites pop against the blacks, I also have some blooms on the camera settings, basically helping out a little bit. We have some flares and some streaks with the tails enhanced a little bit, so it gives a little bit more pop and a little bit more of a grand feeling. I'm pretty sure the cam itself is pretty wide at 18 millimeters. I was just really liking how that was looking in camera. Moving on to the actual animation of this, when we have the ball going on a certain spline path, as I sort of alluded to what the process is, it's a spline path. So as the logo is animating, we can actually see that there's a ball that's animating along a spline path. So we can actually see there's a ball animating along a spline path. Here we go. I'm going to play it right here. Yeah, there we go. So we can actually see that there's a ball animating on the spline path for the logo reveal. I'm going to kind of mute things and bring things into fruition to explain what's going on. This is the spline that the ball is animating on. The ball is right here. It has its own version of the spline, but it's the same spline. All that's really happening here is we have an align to spline tag on here, which you get by just going into animation and align to spline. And as you can see on our F graph here, how we have it actually animating is to spark based on the arcs in the graph. So this is obviously the align to spline graph right here. And you'll see as it drops down, it's really fast because that's where it would be super fast, this ball. And then as it reaches the top of this peak of the spline, it would slow down naturally, following, just natural inertia and movement. And then as it hits this part right here, it's going to go super fast down. So you can see this part in the animation, it's spiking up over time, which means it's going farther along the spline path, because this is percentage of the spline. Basically 100% means it's traveled the entire spline. So you can sort of map out these keyframes based on the position of where it's at. And then as it reaches here, it's going to slow down a little bit, and then it's going to drop down and go fast. And that's where we have it scaling out, also using the scale animation to sort of bring it in and out very smoothly. Now you can see that there's a particle trance sort of behind it. What that is that is a cloner attached to the same spline that we have here. And this cloner here, this trail logo cloner, is essentially just animating along the spline path with some random effectors. As you can see right here, we have a random and a shader. Basically, all that's doing is it's breaking up these little parts in here. We can see that in our effector right here. It's breaking up all these little parts. As you can see when I turn it on and off, it's giving us that nice breakage that we really like to see when things are dispersed naturally. Now, this is the before the effectors, and then if I turn them off, this is after, obviously. This is all of the balls lined up in one continuous line. And then as we put the random effector and the shader, we can really break up all those spawns. The shading field is literally just a noise, and you just play with the global scale and the contrast until you get what you like. And obviously the parameter is -1 on the scale to control the spawn. And then when you go to your random effector, it's just very small incremental things on X, Y, and Z, and small rotations don't really matter with the spheres, so I don't know why I put that. But then obviously some scale randomization too on -1. And this is obviously just on a random effector. Now this spline is just a trace of like the actual logo, which would be right here. So the actual logo has form, and we want to actually show that form, right? And this isn't actually the full form, this little trace. This is just so we can sort of bring on the shape of the speed ramping of the M. So that's why we have this logo cloner up here. This logo cloner is basically the same setup with the same sort of randomization that I just described, but just customized for the logo as the object. As you can see, it's on the object logo, and the other one was on object spline. And basically how we were getting this animation of it following was the same way that we were operating that align to spline animation. Same concept, just on the offset, just animating the offset here. So the actual logo cloner is based on the surface and polygons of the actual logo. So we're gonna get a clear outline of the logo, and we're gonna get small little sparkles from the spline trace. And obviously this plane effector is hooked up with a linear field with the same sort of -1 on the scale, so we can bring in the animation as the spline animation is happening. So we can see that full form of the logo in good timing as well. As I mentioned, the lighting is like very simple. It's just a super dark HDRI, which we don't even see the background of because on the camera, we have a background on an off black. And that's pretty much the breakdown of how I did this in 3D. It's a very easy setup. When you know your stack, you can recreate this in a bunch of different ways. It's a really useful workflow to know how to use. Randomizers and noise shaders are really powerful in C4D. Okay, hopping back into the After Effects file, we can sort of see the progression of how we can take a effect in Cinema 4D and just sort of enhance it in small categories like visual flow, contrast. Obviously, there's things on this effect stack that are really bringing up the pop. Obviously, you can see this is before and then this is after. We're just getting a little bit of lift from that effect stack. And that hue saturation effect is really giving us a unique sort of quality to this that looks intentionally in 3D, but you would really never know that this is in After Effects. Now, I may get some jabronis in my comments saying, oh, you can make this in After Effects. I guarantee you probably can make this in After Effects. I just know that you can get super up close on all this animation that's happening from this wide shot, and you can see something similar to this in my Mid-Journey animation on my website. If you want to see how you can take this to the next level, there's a case study all about that. But you already know we're breaking these projects down 9 p.m. EST, Monday through Saturday. Now, I do not usually do this, but I'm thinking about chopping this up and putting it on YouTube. Realistically, I do these live streams every single night except for Sunday because I know that I'm doing the work anyway, and I might as well record it and put it on the VODs, and hopefully it helps out a couple people that can see my workflow live and my messed up moments live. And realistically, it's just raw freelance collaboration in the Discord server, in After Effects, in Cinema 4D, in Redshift. So if you're about that, follow my live stream, MatthewMotion.com. That's DOTCOM, MatthewMotion, MatthewMotion.com, DOTCOM spelled out. That's my Twitch handle, and I will see you at 9 p.m. live EST. Peace out.